Something like that.
What's up, fight fans? This is the Combat Connection live on the Cageside Press social media platforms. I'm Brett Cagle, and that's Eddie Law. We have a loaded show for you guys tonight. We will recap last week's UFC Fight Night card between Song Yadong and Henry Cejudo, look ahead to the PFL Middleweight tournament that got announced today with an exclusive interview I had with Dalton Rosta earlier, and also discuss the upcoming UFC card between Manel Kape and Azu Amabayev. Eddie, let's get into the biggest topic from over the weekend, the spoiled return of Henry Cejudo in the main event of last week's Fight Night card. Unfortunately, he suffered an eye poke there in the in the third round. Deemed him unable to continue. In the 5 minutes, he took the entire time that was alluded to him, but after going out and competing again for about 30 seconds in between rounds, called a stop to the contest. How did you make how this one shook up and ended out? It looked like online some people thought that Herzog should have deducted a point given that there was 3 fouls, the eye poke that ended it, and then there was a groin kick twice, one in that same round and then one in the previous round. What did you think about the non-point deduction, and how did you see this fight as a whole?
We have to do something about that. The fouls it's a joke at this point. Hey, what's up, Devin? What's going on? The fouls are a joke. Why do we even have point deductions if we're not going to use them, right? All due respect to Herzog, I think to me he's top 3 ref out there in the world, and right next to me Mark Goddard and still Herbine and everything. But as much as people want to shit on Herbine, but he needs to use that. There's a reason you take away points, right? There's a reason. Like a lot of these refs give a lot of leeway. I like strict refs that'll give you one chance to mess up. The next foul, boom. And a lot of people be like, well, I can't believe you took a point away. Well, if he doesn't, then what's the point of the fouls? Well, what's the point of the point deduction, of the consequence for breaking the rule? So I thought he should have taken, after and the eye poke should have been a point immediately. It would have helped Henry, obviously, it would happen later on. But
yeah, and some people were saying, well, it's a different foul than the groin strike, but nonetheless, it's a third foul in less than 5 minutes. So I thought that one should have been deducted there. If it was deducted and then we went to the scorecards, it would have been a draw. One thing that was a little confusing from, Henry's side of things, and I don't think there was a lot of, communication there in the corner, is if he would have actually stopped during that 5 minutes, it would have been a no contest, and it would not have ended up as a loss on his record. He elected to go back out there and show his heart, but I think he came to the realization that it wasn't going to go his way as things, continued from what he was seeing. So, I mean, he could have, not had a loss on his record there, Eddie. Do you think there was a little bit of a mistake with lack of communication with his corner?
I think it's he had 5 minutes to rest. You can't talk to your corners during that rest. You can't go over and be like, hey, man, what do you guys think? What should we do? Because I don't know who the corner. I mean, I know who the corners are, but we don't know we're not privy to the conversation in the corner. Whether the corners were talking to each other like, hey, if he's gonna take all this time, you might as well just call it here. Go no contest, tries again later instead of taking the L on our record, right? So I think this thing's moved way too quickly. He don't want to quit. No fighter wants to quit. Like no fighter wants to quit, right? Like, but me watching from home, calling it on the Fight Companion and all that, I was thinking, all right, if you're gonna take all 5 minutes anyway, like you're not good. If you took all 5 minutes and you're still blinking and still wiping your eyes, still asking for water, you're not good.
Yeah.
Tell them then, right? Instead, I'll credit, but again, right? Like the rules there, no one discussed it. I'm assuming no one discussed it because, if the corners would have known, it'd be like, hey, if you can't see, let it go, right? So unfortunately, he went out there, and yeah, if you finish that third round, what are you gonna do?
And Devin, to your comment here, I heard Big John McCarthy kind of discuss this earlier. He said that it should have been scored a 10-10 in that fourth round, considering they started the fourth round. So it has to be scored. You're correct. But at the same time, I think it made it, a little bit more simpler for the viewing audience when we only scored the 3 rounds, kind of like a normal 3-round fight. But it was a little confusing. And according to Big John, who wrote the rules, should have been scored 10-10 across the board. And just further those scores along. But this is really, a big moment in the history and storied career of Henry Cejudo, because he's working his way back here, and he wants to get back into title contention. He's not some guy who wants to go to the back of the queue and keep fighting young contenders and stuff like that. I was a little confused by the matchmaking with Song Yadong in this one to begin, but it looks like he's going to either have to face Song Yadong again or another up-and-coming contender to get back into title contention. Is there any appetite for a rematch with you, Eddie?
For Song Yadong, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Should it happen? Yes. Is that the right thing to do? Sure. Is it going to happen? No. If you listen to what Dana said in the post-fight, you could tell he has zero interest in another one. I think he wants to keep building. He wants to build up, he wants to build up, what do you call it? He wants to build up Song Yadong, build up a contender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe, I don't know if I can necessarily agree with that, man. He got fouled 3 times, right? So on the first 2 groin strikes, if he would have just laid out after that, maybe you'd have a point. But if you're getting fouled 3 times in a row, and there was actually a video, go check Henry Cejudo's Instagram story out, of Herzog explaining in the back locker room, and he's telling this to Henry right before the fight, given the pre-fight instructions. He says, you better keep your hands in, because if I see him out like this and it happens twice, I'm going to deduct a point. Well, on the 3rd foul against Henry, that didn't happen. So I think that's where a lot of the frustration from Cejudo came from. And when you're a damaged fighter like that, and you've already been fouled 3 times, I think it's hard for you to want to go back out there against somebody who's a young killer like Song Yadong, when you think maybe the judge is, not on your side that night. What was doing? If you watch Henry's press conference during fight weeks, it's basically covering over everything. Yeah, I mean, he's older in his career and he gets banged up at times, but to Devin's point here about Herzog being confident, I think he had to show a lot of whether he had to show like he was in control, right? So he can't be out there panicking, not knowing what's going on, even if he really doesn't know what's going on, like we've seen, and it should have been scored 10-10. He can't give off that weakness that, hey, I don't really know what to do in this situation. So I think he did the best that he could in the moment. But going forward, that's something that referees will have to take into account moving forward. But for Henry Cejudo, here, Eddie, what do you want to see next? And do you think he should just hang it up at this point, maybe? No,
one more. You can't go out that way. You can't go out like that. Whether I think we know a guy that works with Henry Cejudo, right? Yeah. We know Dylan Rush, and so I'm not gonna say we don't have any inside information like that, but the one thing is that he knows that he's adamant about is Henry Cejudo is a competitor. Right? He didn't quit. He couldn't see.
Yeah.
And
he saw his eye. We got
forget the eye. No, forget the eye. Forget what it looks like. Mm-hmm. The rest of that 3rd round, he was getting pieced up. Who voluntarily goes out there, puts their fucking face out there to get smashed up by a guy like Song Yadong and get knocked the fuck out, right? Now, I get what a lot of people are saying. They think he quit and all this stuff. I get it. A lot of this is Henry brings on himself with the persona. Totally understand it. I've fought, right? I have my amateur fights. I've been eye poked. It fucking sucks, right? And being much younger back then, you recover a little quicker, right? And so, it's a shitty situation no matter what. I think the point should have taken away. I think it should have been a no contest. Had Henry not gone back out there. It's just, I think overall it's just just a shit show overall, honestly. So and I'm not saying that Song Yadong's not at fault because he fouled, right?
Yeah.
But Herzog's there to do something about that. So.
Yeah, and if Herzog hears a guy in the corner saying, I can't see, the
right.
5 minutes goes up, he obviously shows toughness to go back out there and fight again. But at the same time he's doing that, he's saying, I can't see. I think it's up to Herzog at that point to stop the contest. Should have been a no contest, like you were saying.
I'll tell you what. If Henry Cejudo was going to quit and he had that in his mind, he wouldn't have gone back out.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think there's any quit in Henry Cejudo.
I get the opinion, I get the point of view, but I don't agree at all. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I want him to come back on one more.
Same.
Preferably against a vet. Don't give him a young guy. Give him a vet Give him a spot like on a paper, not a main card, not a main event, but give him a spot on a main card somewhere. Maybe in Arizona, maybe in LA, where he's originally from, maybe in a Phoenix card. But
would have been nice to see him match up against Jose Aldo, but I guess he's fighting Alzamin Zahabi here.
Why the fuck is the UFC trying to get like give Aldo and Henry all these young guys? Like, I mean, I get it. You're trying to add a veteran name to an up and comer's resume, but goddamn, bro, that sucks.
Yeah, and just to go over a little bit of the statistics and the actual nuts and bolts of the contest here, Song Yadong did outstrike Henry Cejudo 84-67 in total strikes. Henry was unsuccessful on his 3 takedown attempts. Is that something that surprised you, Eddie? Normally, when we see Henry Cejudo go out here against guys who aren't dominant grapplers, obviously his last 2 contests, Merab, Sterling, dominant grapplers. Song Yadong not known for that. Wasn't able to get Song Yadong to the ground. We've seen Song Yadong taken down by guys like Kyler Phillips in the past, who obviously don't have the credentialed wrestling that Henry Cejudo does. Mm-hmm. Is it worrying to you seeing that Henry can't, either isn't making the effort to, like Merab is, shoot 20 takedowns and make sure the fight gets to the ground? Is it alarming to you at all that the fight's not getting there?
First of all, I got to shout out Joe. He does these for Cap MMA. They do these spaces on Twitter. Like, fun ass time. Y'all should definitely hit him up. So you can follow Joe at Cap MMA on Twitter. Follow Joe, follow Cap. They do these cool ass spaces. I just haven't had time to fucking jump on one in a long time. But anyway, no, I think everyone knew the California kid is in Song Yadong's corner, right? Here's what I thought was going to happen. I thought the game plan was going to be tire Song out, right? Tire him out. Because Song, we've seen Song gas a little bit, right? Because he throws heavy with every shot. So I think he was going to be tire him out and then shoot like crazy in the 3rd and 4th and 5th rounds. I thought that was a game plan. Because if you notice, like, I think Henry might have committed to one of those takedowns. The rest of him was like reaching with the left arm, left hand for the single, right? And then immediately throwing the overhand and then the opposite hand. He did that like 3 or 4 times. So no, the game plan I think was to take him down. I'm not surprised at all he didn't take him down. Merab would have been like, fuck it, you might need me in the face, but I'm grabbing that leg. Yeah, that's the kind of guy he is. Henry is to me, he's a little more, well-rounded, but he also had to deal with the length difference, the height difference, the size difference. There was a lot of things he had to play with. And so I think he probably had a good game plan, just wasn't able to
and who knows how the fight was going, because I had the 2nd round scored for Henry. I thought the 3rd round was going to Henry until he got eye poked. Obviously, after the eye poke, Song Yadong poured it on and probably won that round, but in the fight. But I thought Henry Cejudo up until the fouls was looking really good. Is that how you kind of saw it, Eddie? The momentum was picking up for Cejudo prior to the three fouls.
I think so. But at the same time, like, this is one of the things about fighting is unless you see like the completion of the fight, you really can't, tell. But or you can't really be like sure about it. But still, but yeah, no, MMA Food makes a good point right here. If you can put that up there.
Oh, what did he say?
He said, "I got it." It says it's crazy because the same thing kind of happened with Bonfim, but the language barrier made it weird how the fight ended. Because Bonfim seemed to say, like, was it Bonfim when he was like shaking his head but saying yes I can, or was it the other way? I can't remember.
This is a good point by Joe here, to his argument. Do you think if Herzog would have taken a point when Henry asked him to, he would have continued? I think he would have, and that's why he quit. I don't think so, Joe, because here's the reason. If he would have taken that point and then Henry quit after the round, you're talking about a draw, right? And I think Henry knew that. So if he was going to quit and you want to out him for being a quitter or being weak, he would have done it during the 5 minutes, right? He screwed himself out of a win, Joe. So, I mean, there's nothing worse that could have happened there 2 ways, the no contest and the draw from not getting a point deducted and then not quitting during the original 5 minutes. So,
right, but all of that
I don't think it was intentional whatsoever.
Yeah, but that entire argument takes the eye out of play. You get what I'm saying? Not everyone's Bisping that goes in there on purpose with one fucking eye. That dude's used to fighting with one eye.
And he actually interviewed with Bisping yesterday, and he did try to fight through it. It's right. And that's what I'm saying. He didn't quit. Like, he tried to fight through the injury. He had a way out twice. Right. If Herzog would have given it to him, or if he would have took it on his own, he didn't take it.
Right. So if you're gonna tell me he was faking the eye poke, like, bro, we watched the video. He got the shit poked out of the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, quit. Again, you're taking the eye out of play here. You're basically saying like, well, he could definitely fucking see, right? But so he took the out. No, like what do you want him to do? Go back out there with one eye and get knocked the fuck out in the fourth or the fifth because you can't see what Song is throwing? Like that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah, right? Or damage that eye that we see is already potentially going to need surgery. Like,
right.
I think Herzog should have stopped the fight after he said he couldn't see.
Right. Yeah, I get you, but like I get the point. I seen the Aljo getting kneed in the head on video too. So okay.
I think there's a big difference between Cejudo and the Aljo. Huge difference. That's a 1 foul versus a 3 foul combination. Now the 1 foul by Jan might have been, as significant or more significant than this one, but there's 3 fouls that led up to what should have been a point deduction, in my opinion. But
did you lose money on a Henry there, Joe? Is that what's going on?
He might have. I'm
just playing. No, because I like the discussions with Joe whenever we get on that in the spaces. So I don't think he's going in there like malicious or anything whatsoever. Yeah. I just think it's his opinion that he quit, and that's an opinion you can definitely have.
Good discussion topic too. I'm glad we can discuss it with somebody who has a differing opinion than us.
Right. So again, it's one of the things that doesn't really matter anymore. Now, what happens forward? Hopefully, not a young guy for Henry. Give him a swan song fight, and let's wrap it up with a nice bow. Yeah, win or lose, by the way. I think he'll be done no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get him a good matchup against a legend like himself and send him off. But one fight that we did have a completion to was our co-main event between ranked middleweights, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who improved his record to 14-2, defeating Brendan Allen, who fell to 24-7 by unanimous decision. Some of the statistics in this one: total strikes in favor of Hernandez, 73-52. Takedowns in favor of Hernandez, 4-0. Control time also in the favor of Anthony Hernandez, 10 minutes to 2 minutes. Eddie, Brendan Allen came out in the first round and looked really well. I actually scored this fight, scored the first opening round for Brendan Allen, as did all 3 judges. But after that, Anthony Hernandez took over. A lot of slick grappling in this one. Very, entertaining reversals on the ground for fight fans who enjoy jiu-jitsu and the submission. Both of these guys almost had each other in rear naked chokes in separate rounds. How did you like this contest? And obviously, did you see Anthony Hernandez as the winner?
I think it was a really rough fight for both guys. Real quick, Joseph, I do think Jason should have taken a point. I think the fight should have been stopped when Henry was vocal. He couldn't see all points for it. I agree on that. All right. Yeah. Sorry. On this fight, dude, this was impressive. Okay, because Fluffy. They asked him in the post fight. Okay, I don't know if you noticed. At Friday and Wayne, Gabriel Gonzalez was there for Cageside Press. So we were told we had somebody there. Fluffy was the last one on the scale, and he cut it close, right? So everyone's like, "Oh, he had a really shitty weight cut." Gets in the fight, wins it, gets in the back, and they ask him about the weight cut, and because in the cage he goes, "Dude, I was on antibiotics." They asked him when he got off of them. He got off of amoxicillin on Friday. Now I don't know. Yeah, so Friday. He got off of amoxicillin, fights on Saturday, and wins. I think, and then he had busted ribs too. I think this just man, he's just better than Brendan. That's just it. And
just a little bit better everywhere is what I saw. Like 100%. Brendan could challenge him on the ground, but Anthony's good enough to survive even when he gets into bad positions. Yeah. On the feet, he's a little bit more well-rounded. I thought his conditioning was he's just a little bit better everywhere.
Yeah, no, and it was honestly, and I hate it because I like Brendan. I thought Brendan had Brendan not lost to Nazardine, Imabab or Delete? Who leaves to? One of those. Imabab. Had he not lost to Imabab, we'd probably talking about him fighting for the title. Honestly. Yeah.
And I think he beats the majority of the top 10. He could even beat a guy like Marvin Vittori, who he fought in a casino earlier this year. So I think that the potential for Brendan Allen is up there. It's just that when he goes against a guy who can stop his grappling and stop his takedown attempts, what's he going to look like on the feet?
I'm a massive believer in momentum when it comes to sports, but fighting's definitely right. In sports, first quarter of a basketball game or a football game, whatever, if you get down, we just watched the Chiefs get fucking mollywopped in the Super Bowl. Their momentum was ass from the get-go. And the Eagles put momentum and then just stepped on the gas, right? I believe the same thing in fighting, but it's a lot longer term. Brendan was already coming off the loss to Imabab. It was a rough one. It was in France. You had to travel for it, come back. So you come back, you're like, all right, cool. I lost the fight, but now I got a big matchup, a rematch against Fluffy Hernandez. And it was a massive opportunity. Had Brendan Allen won this, he's back in his spot that he was before he lost to Imavov. So, because everyone knows how good Fluffy is. So I think he maybe, the psychology of it, maybe he was injured too. Who knows what else was going on in his camp and all that. He didn't say very much. Obviously, we didn't get to talk to him afterwards. But, I think he ran into just a slightly better and tougher guy than he was. And I think Brendan Allen would be smart to take a little bit of time away and then come back. Maybe, get his mind right, get his spirit right, and get back to it. But Brendan Allen's not that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy who's going to be like, no, fuck that. Let's go. Who's next? So we'll see. As far as Fluffy goes, man, I'm impressed with the way he was able to pull off the win with all the adversity to deal with.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% with Brendan Allen. I think he takes some time off here. Maybe lets that matchup between Marvin Vettori and Dolidze conclude. The winner moves on. Maybe he fights Vettori. I think that's the matchup. You could have Brendan Allen versus Vettori as a fight night main event with the backstory. You could show the hotel footage from the Hard Rock where they had a fight in the casino, and people would get behind it for a fight night card at the Apex or somewhere else. So
we're gonna need Vettori to beat Dolidze.
I think if Dolidze wins over Vettori,
that.
And I think that's probably what's going to happen because Dolidze, in my opinion, won that first fight, and he's looked great at 205 before coming back down.
I like Devin's points on this. He goes, Devin says, Allen's biggest problem in all his fight confidence is all his fight confidence instantly blown if he cannot out-grapple his opponents.
If you can't get him to the ground, the striking isn't quite there yet, right? So when we saw him against Sean Strickland early in his career when he was stopped, Sean's got one of the best takedown defenses in the whole middleweight division. He's a lot like Michael Bisping back in the day. So when he can't get taken down by Brendan Allen, obviously he's going to run into problems with Strickland. When he can't take down Imavov, he's going to run into problems. He took Hernandez down in the first round here, but was reversed in the other two. I don't know. It's just one of those stylistic problems for him when you look at some of those matchups.
And it says this was a really similar looking fight to the Imavov fight. Wins the first and then cannot make an in-fight adjustment. That's exactly what I was thinking too. In the second round, I'm like, you're doing the same shit. And Fluffy's already made his own adjustments and he dominated. So that worked out. Now, MMA food that's a good question. Strickland versus Fluffy or Jared Cannonier? So who do you want for next for Fluffy, Strickland or Jared?
I heard, I heard something online that do you think Israel Adesanya would fight Anthony Hernandez?
I think he would. Why wouldn't he?
I think that's the matchup. You throw him to a guy who's down there in the rankings again. This is Izzy's put up or shut up time. You're going to leave or, you're going to move back up into title contention. I like that striker versus grappler. The matchup with Jared would be nice. And then Whitaker's there as well too.
Yeah, and Devin says that Fluffy was Whitaker. If Fluffy beats either Jared Cannonier or Whitaker, you got to talk about him in the top 5. You got to. And if he beats both of them, he better be up there for a title shot.
Listen to the names that we're floating out there for Anthony Hernandez now after the win last week. We're talking about Izzy. We're talking about Whitaker. We're talking about Cannonier. I mean, those are big-time matchups for him in his career.
Yeah. No, it's massive. This is like career-making matchups that are coming up for him. So it's all on his plate. It's on his plate. And he's the kind of guy, he's just like, fuck it, let's go, bro. I don't care. I don't watch fighting. I just train and fight, bro.
So our next fight, Eddie, we were actually watching live on stream. We had it going different ways when we had our scorecards here, but Rob Font defeated Gene Matsumoto by split decision, Font improving to 22-8, while Matsumoto picks up the first loss of his professional career and his record drops to 16-1. Total strikes in this one were even, according to ESPN, 113-113. Takedowns in favor of Matsumoto, 7-0. Control time in favor of Matsumoto, 6 minutes to 1 minute. Now, Eddie, when we were watching this live, you had one word for me as to why you thought Rob Font won the fight, and it was damage. And, I think that you are correct that Rob Font had the most damage in this contest. But when you look at the control time and the statistics after the contest, and you see that Matsumoto was 7 takedowns to 0 landed, the control time was through the roof for a 15-minute fight. Do you still believe Rob Font did enough off damage to win that fight?
I think so. I think it was super close. We're not in the days of GSP taking Nick Diaz down 1,000,000 times and winning the fight by points, and then coming out looking like he got the one that got his ass whooped. Right? We're not in those days anymore. And it honestly hasn't been that long. It's been maybe a year, maybe. to where they actually legitimately started going with damage. I mean, we've seen just in the last year or so, fights where it's like takedown, and the guy that got a million takedowns lost because he got his face, punched and elbowed in. Why? Because damage is king. If that's how it's supposed to go, just like Devin says.
But I got one question for you and Devin, and this is a big one to me. So if impact and damage, I agree, is the number one criteria, the number one. Mm-hmm. What if you only have the number one criteria and the other three, in this case, belong to Matsumoto? Effective striking, Matsumoto maybe was better with the striking on the ground and the feet, even according to ESPN statistics. And Rob Font obviously got the better of him on the feet, so he had good ground striking as well. So effective striking, you could argue, could have gone to Matsumoto. Effective grappling obviously went to Matsumoto, and octagon control went to Matsumoto as well. What do you make if does the one thing in damage outweigh the other three combined?
And this is why that 10-point must is fucking stupid, because then we end up with shit like this, right? Where it's like, okay, cool. What are you going to weight more? Are you going to put, how much weight are you going to put it? Because now your argument, now you're talking about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is, okay, how much more is damage valued, like literally number price, right? Or not with a number, with a percentage compared to grappling, octagon control. Is it this and that? Is this impact, damage here and octagon controls here? Or is it the other way? Or is it even? Like, that's the question, right? That's why that's an impossible question to fucking answer. That's why it ended up being a split decision. And that's why you end up with Rob Font. I thought Matsumoto could have won the fight. I thought, look, I would have been mad no matter who got it, right? Because it was a close fight and everything. I think.
I know that's how I know that's how it stacks up in importance. But if the three behind the most important belong to one guy and the most important belongs to the other guy, which one matters more? Because if everything is being won by this guy over here, the other guy just has more damage. Another contest that this came up into was Rob Font versus Marlon Vera. You remember that one? Where he had 2 knockdowns off knees, and I believe Font lost that contest by split decision, and it didn't go his way. But I think it's a little, like you're saying, the 10-point must system has some flaws in it. If we were scoring the fight as a whole, I think Rob probably won. But when you look at the control time, it was a very close fight. And regardless of that, I think this is a building moment for Gene Matsumoto. This is not the last time we're going to see him. His second fight in the UFC, got in there with a ranked contender and did his thing and looked good. So
give him all the credit in the world for coming in on super short notice and putting his undefeated record on the line. That kid has balls, 100%. And sorry, this is my guy, Tank. What's up, Tank? Tank's been on all these streams for years. He clearly not a Usman fan, but anyway, Fluffy the comedian. I'm turning to casual. Well, Fluffy lost some weight, not that much. And then Johnny Hendricks days, it's Johnny Hendricks, GSP. You know what I mean? Like all this kind of stuff. Like you go back to that. How many of those fights are completely different if we are doing by damage instead of by takedowns? And on top of that, and I'm not saying Matsumoto was not okay. I am saying, and talking about overall. If you take someone down a million times and don't do shit with it, or don't at least try to improve your position by passing a half, passing a side control, passing them out, something, you don't know holding down like GSP, like all these other guys. What are we doing? So,
yeah. No, I thought it was a good fight. It was a competitive fight, and I thought it was highly entertaining as well. So great win for Rob Font and a learning experience for Gene Matsumoto, who I'm sure we're going to be talking about again in the future when he gets back in there. So. One prospect that we have in our hands is really stealing the headlines here, Eddie. Gene Silva of the Fighting Nerds, an absolute maniac, knocks out Melsik Baghdasaryan, the first man to ever knock out Melsik, improves his record to 15-2 with the first round knockout. Melsik drops down to 8-3. This was an entertaining contest, and Gene Silva, as we mentioned previously last week, moves forward and looks for the TKO to knockout finish. Better than anybody in this weight class that we've seen. What did you make of Gene Silva? I think that his potential is through the roof here. You want to see him fight for the title in no less than 2 fights. Who would you like to see him matched up against next? And what did you make of the performance?
I'll tell you exactly who I want to. Let me show you something, bro. I'll show you exactly who I want to match up against. Because John Silva has awesome shit talk. No, he has amazing shit talk. Look at this. So if you guys know, John Silva's nickname is Lord. I forgot exactly, but Lord something.
Yeah, he's got it tattooed like right here.
Right. So he goes, there's nothing, of course, Bryce Mitchell fucking Joking over your head there again, Mr. Arkansas. Dumbass. Fucking, there's only one Lord than you, fool. Shut the fuck up. And then Silva comes up with the perfect comeback. Okay. But I'm going to beat you until you see the earth is round. That to me was like, please book it. Just book it. No, forget. Look, because Silva's going to fuck him up. Just do it. And I'm not saying it just because, Bryce Mitchell's a dipshit and fucking,
he earned this one.
A fucking sympathizer for ass clowns, but he's also an idiot. But it's like, come on, dude. You missed the joke over your head. All right. Go talk about, go explain geometry to people online and totally fuck it up. And shut up, Tank. This motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. I love Tank, but get out of here. It's a plane. Oh boy. No, you're on that Rampage Jackson shit. Stop it. Anyway. No, all seriousness. We need someone who like just keep giving Silva entertaining fights with guys that are ranked, guys that'll strike with him.
Yeah. He's the exact fighter that we want to see, man.
Dude, he's
like
so
I
much
said
fun.
on the stream, he looks like Vanderlei Silva at 145 pounds.
If this dude learned English, dude, the UFC would be like, oh, you speak English now? Yeah, okay, send him to everything. Yeah. Get the fuck out. He's
might
funny.
Not even need to if he keeps fighting like he is.
No, I get that. I'm talking about marketability, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's Poatan who just literally like catches bodies every time he goes out to fight. And even he's gotten decent, right? But if Silva learned English, right, and you can send him out to all the podcasts, all the ESPN stuff, oh my God, especially because he's funny and he's a psychopath. That's what he's got over Poatan. Poatan's a nice guy. He goes, oh yeah, you respected the Sanyas and stuff. John Silva's like, I'll fucking rearrange your face. If you fight me, you're not going to look the same. Take pictures, bitch. Like, woo, woo. Give me John Silva.
Did you see him in there when Melsick, like, I want to credit Melsick because he was taking a long layoff and came back as well.
Yeah, tough motherfucker.
Good. He looked good for the first two kicks. He came like this close to hitting him with a spinning heel kick. Mm-hmm. And you know what Gene Silva did? He smiled at him, laughed, and tried to pat and shake his hand. I was complaining about it on stream. I'm like, what are we doing? And then 5 seconds later, he knocks him out. Boom. It's like, this dude wants to be in those confrontations. He wants to test himself against dangerous guys just like him. He's an incredible prospect, man. He's got an iron chin, and he goes in there to knock guys' heads clean off.
No, keep building him against guys that'll stand with him. And then because that's the difference between some of these fighters. Like, you don't give. Everyone wants to be like, well, get this prospect and this prospect. Have him fight it out. No, you're trying to build stars, right? So you give him, give him preferable. It's not like who were we talking about on stream the other night about from Bellator, the blonde hair Kobe wannabe,
Danny Sabatello.
They fucked him over, right? That kid, you give him guys that he can beat, and you build him up, and then you give him a hard ass, right? But they didn't do that. And I'm saying, and everyone's like, oh, cans. Okay, yeah. All right. Like, don't give him cans that are terrible, but give him guys that'll give him a good matchup, make him look good.
In Danny's case, strikers. In Gene's case, maybe he goes against guys like Bryce Mitchell who aren't strong enough to take him to the ground. And well, Bryce, now you're in a world of trouble when you're on the feet with me. So I think that's the perfect matchup.
Yeah,
Eddie, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, he about to learn the earth is round and gravity's real, motherfucker. Let's go.
Yeah. So the UFC has a star in their hands, certainly moving forward with Gene Silva. You can match up with multiple guys in the division. But Eddie, was there another fight on this card that you want to talk about and highlight before we get into some other news?
Couple things. First of all, Song Yadong, what do you do with him next? Let's just say Cejudo's not off the board. Who you get?
So they just had a couple matchups. So they just matched up Sandhagen and Figueiredo.
Yep.
Who do we got? Do you got the rankings in front of you? I would maybe like to see him face, one of those guys if they were to win. I'm trying to think who else we got up there.
All right, bantamweights. Obviously, Merab is the champion. Mm-hmm. Number 1, Sean O'Malley. Number 2, Peter Yan. Then Umar, Corey, Figgy, Song, Marlon Vera, Rob Font, Henry Cejudo, and then Bautista.
I'd say have him fight the winner of the contest in Iowa between Sandhagen and Figueiredo.
Okay, if you don't do that, for the love of God, okay, please give Mario Bautista Song Yadong or Song Yadong to Mario Bautista.
That's a good matchup. Because
look, everyone's mad that Mario wrestled Jose Aldo to a decision and was all happy about it. Let's see if he can do the song.
One thing I want to highlight that Devin said, we did have news. I didn't have it in the rundown because it broke today, but Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker is off.
Yep.
And some people were saying that Gene Silva could take that fight at 155 pounds on short notice. I don't really want to see that. I don't want to see him go up there and test himself at 155 pounds and then lose. Now we got a prospect that's ruined. I think that his stock is so high right now, he's got to stay where he's at 145. The champion of that weight class just left. That leaves the door wide open for him. And if you look at him against Diego Lopez or Alexander Volkanovski, the two guys fighting for the belt, you cannot tell me that the odds makers in Vegas would not have Gene Silva as a very close, maybe even a favorite in the fight against either of those guys.
A certain matador does not want to fight Arman Tsarukyan. He has said as much. But if you give him Justin Gaethje, welcome to 55, Elia. What's up,
That's
my
what
boy?
I'm saying. I want to see Topuria and Gaethje more than anything. He already shit-talked Gaethje when he was in the Max Holloway buildup, and he said Justin Gaethje went out there with no technique and just threw punches at his head all night. All right. Well, he's going to do the same thing to you. He's going to come right at you and throw punches at your head. It's fire on fire, 155 debut. You win, you get the title shot. You don't, you go back down, and you're going to have to win your old belt back because you vacated it. Most opportunity and most at stake on the line. I think that's the fight to make. But do you think he will take that fight on 2 weeks' notice if Dana throws a big bag at him?
Hell no. No, he ain't going to do that. You know why? Because more than likely, Topuria's fighting for the title next for 55. No. I know. I get it. But you got to think about what the UFC's thinking. If he goes in there and knocks out Islam Makhachev, bro.
Make him earn it against Gaethje, though, is what is my opinion. Here's the thing. Tsarukyan shot himself in the foot twice. After he beat Oliveira the first time, he sat there and didn't want the title shot, and Dustin Poirier had to take it for him in Newark, New Jersey, because he didn't want to fight on 2 months' notice. Then we get a week out from his contest against Islam Makhachev, and this guy pulls out with back spasms after he's spinning on his head for former Playboy models. So you don't know what Arman Tsarukyan's doing. He's going to the back of the queue. If I was Dana White, I wouldn't give him a fight or a title shot for 2 more wins. He's back to where he was a year ago, fighting the same guy, Charles Oliveira, for a potential chance to fight for the belt down the line. He's literally gone stagnant in his career at this point over the last calendar year. I want to see Justin Gaethje and Ilia Topuria. The rightful winner fights Islam Makhachev. Makhachev is going to have that time off due to Ramadan here coming up pretty quick as well. So I think you gotta find a legit contender for him when he comes back. And if Topuria goes out there and knocks out Justin Gaethje, who by the way was obviously just chinned last year and might be more susceptible to being knocked out. That's a story in and of itself. Maybe if they fight down the line, but I think that's the matchup to make. Fire versus fire. Winner gets Islam Makhachev.
I get it. But the thing is, Ilia Topuria knocked out, not just beat, he knocked out Volkanovski. He knocked out Max Holloway.
Yep.
That's a pretty damn good argument, honestly. And I get the feeling of making him earn and all that. And I understand that. I just think the UFC is not going to do that. I don't think they will.
Yeah,
if they do, I'm not mad at it. But I tell you right, it's not going to be Gaethje in 2 weeks.
I say it more so for not Topuria's sake, but the legacy of Islam, right? I don't think Islam wants to – I'm just from the point of view, I don't think Islam wants to be known as the guy who fought 145 pounders his whole career, right?
Fair. Yeah, fair.
So at this point, make him solidify himself at 155. You don't have to have people chirp you and say, well, that's a 145 pounder. All you've been doing is knocking out guys who are 5'6", which would be the case if he goes up here and fights him after leaving featherweight. You're just knocking out featherweight champions who you have 6 inches on in height. A lot of people would say that. So I think to avoid that, you have him fight a guy like Justin Gaethje, who's a proven contender. If Gaethje goes out there and dusts him and comes back, has some highlight reel knockout, then you got a great matchup with the All-American Justin Gaethje, the All-American boy, versus the Russian Islam Makhachev. That sells itself.
So again, I'm not against that. Against that. What I'm saying is what like the UFC is going to try and do. They want to sell, right? If you notice, now Dana played it down a little bit. He was like, I don't want any more champs. They could be champions if they want, but they're going to be busy. It's more him saying like, I'm going to discourage that shit because I'm tired of getting, all these, this guy, to get all, getting all these guys that are holding up divisions and shit. I'm going to straight business, right? Like that's a massive fight. You can make that. You can make Islam Ilia for International Fight Week easy. Okay. Now here's what I don't do. Or here's what I don't do. I don't trust Arman Tsarukyan to make a fight. I don't.
That's what I'm saying. You can't. You can't trust him.
You can't trust him. So you could do. I mean, I wonder if Arman's willing to fight Justin on 2 weeks' notice. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think this is a possibility, Eddie? I haven't even thought of this. This is a good point by Devin.
Justin's gonna fuck him up.
Yeah, that'd be a letdown.
That'd be a massive letdown. We were ready for like violence, and now it's like, oh, okay, Jalen's gonna try and use his length, and Justin's gonna probably knock him out.
I saw Rafael Fiziev put his name in the hat as well. Is that something that would interest you at all?
No, I'm done with Rafael Fiziev. Not done, but like, no, you're gonna have to work your way up for that one. Moicano called him out too. We just saw you get beat down, and then who else called him out? Gamrot, I'm not against.
Yeah, I'm not against Gamrot either.
Again, none of these are ever going to live up to Hooker Gaethje. Now, and he's not going to do it because he wants to fight in Louisiana. Apparently, there's a little bit of smoke there. But doesn't Poirier Gaethje will be fun?
That'd be
Holloway,
great.
hey, Holloway's a bad boy. He'll give Gaethje a shot again. So who knows?
That would be such a nightmare. Justin Gaethje would not. Obviously, he would not decline that fight, but that would just be.
Dude, if he gets beat by Max again, you just retire, dog.
Yeah. But fight fans, we had an exclusive interview with PFL World Tournament middleweight Dalton Rosta. The PFL announced their 2025 middleweight tournament, bringing back the 185-pound division. And we were lucky enough today to have interviews with Sada Boucy, the 2022 welterweight champion, and Dalton Rosta, the former Bellator contender, both of which will be competing in this middleweight tournament. Before me and Eddie get into it here, I'm going to list off the entire participation from the 185-pound roster here for the PFL. Dalton Rosta, Sada Boucy, Josh Silveira, Fabian Edwards, formerly of Bellator, Aaron Jeffrey, formerly of Bellator, former champion at 205, Impa Kasanganay, Murad Ramazanov, who's moving up from 170, and Mike Shipman. Eddie, what do you make of this roster? I was kind of impressed with the guys that they were able to grab and pull together here. We were mentioning the other weight classes didn't necessarily have some of the fighters from Bellator that we knew in the past and wanted to see compete. But this roster right here, Fabian Edwards, Dalton Rosta, and Aaron Jeffrey, three guys that Bellator fans are really familiar with and are legit contenders in this tournament.
That is probably the best roster they've had in the tournament in a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like Impa Kasanganay, dog. Fabian Edwards, say what you want about Fabian Edwards and the Edwards family, dog. Jeffrey, how the fuck is he winning fights? Dog. Josh Silveira will take your neck, dog. Sada Boucy, what do I gotta say? Dog. Dalton Rosta looks like a fucking chiseled, shit brick house.
And
dog.
Murad Ramazanov was the one championship at middleweight. He was the one champion or the one FC champion over there. Mm-hmm. He obviously was cutting off a lot of weight to get to 170, had those losses to Shamil Musayev, who, in my opinion right now, Shamil Musayev is the top 5 welterweight in the world, regardless of promotion. Those are hard fights. And after getting knocked out, he did come back and go to decision with Musayev. So Ramazanov, to me, is actually the dark horse of this tournament due to the grappling ability. But, Eddie, one matchup that jumps off the board to me that I want to see most, and they're going to come out with the matchups later. I wasn't allowed to ask who these guys are fighting. Can we please, for the love of God, see Fabian Edwards versus Sada Boucy? That striking would be nuts.
It'd be crazy. Now, Devin, you hit it on the head. I was wondering, where the fuck is Johnny Eblen?
So in the interview I had today with Dalton Rosta, he mentioned, and you guys can find it on the Cageside Press YouTube channel here, but he mentioned that they're going to still have the champions from Bellator retained. They're just going to be fighting in, what were they calling it? The PFL Champions Series after the whatever they called it with Usman and Paul Hughes. They're going to continue to call it with the other Bellator champions. They're going to try and retain Eblen. They're going to try and retain Patchy Mix and have those guys fight sporadically on the cards. I'm assuming that's what they're going to do with Dakota Ditcheva as well. So I also asked Dalton Rosta in this interview, I said, one of the guys in this roster actually is your training partner in Josh Silveira. The champion for Bellator, Johnny Eblen, was your training partner. You kind of had to pick which avenue to go down. And he said that the tournament really fit him because he wanted the guaranteed 3 fights in the guaranteed activity.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, what do you say about Josh Silveira? He wants to fight. He'll fight him?
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, me and Josh, we're friends, but at the end of the day, this is a business. We beat the shit out of each other every single day in the gym. So it's nothing new if we go and do it. Okay. And, we both want to be champion. I
just hate that Silveira. He always gets so close yet so far. So close yet so far. Now, mind you, on this whole thing with Johnny Eblen not being, I know you asked a question, I'm sorry, but Johnny Eblen not being in there. Damn it, Donnie, you took 3 steps forward and then 18 back.
But if he does have Eblen there, and he's trying to put him on some of those cards with other people, like they're going to try and do 2 title fights, obviously, with him and Mix and shit like that. But who's he going to fight at this point?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, who's he going to fight? But at the same time, it's you're just going to keep him on the shelf longer until you find somebody. And what card are you going to put him on? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just you're keeping these guys that don't want to be on your fucking roster anymore inactive. You know why they went out? Because they're inactive, and you're gonna keep them inactive. What are we doing, right? Like, yeah, the whole it's a mess. Like, announce a fucking fight for these guys. Announce Dakota. Announce Eblen. Announce Patch if you're gonna do it, right? But stop with the bullshit trying to feed us like, oh yeah, this is a great fucking tournament. Blah blah.
This one. I like this one.
No. I get that. I get that. But the problem is the stupidity of not fucking letting your champions fight. I'm not saying stick them in there, right? And possibly have them lose it. Get beat in the tournament, or Eblen I'm talking about, get him beat in the tournament. But give him a fucking fight already. You keep announcing all these other shit around it and not announcing them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to get their ducks in a row for their tournament before it starts, and then they'll get into Eblen and those guys maybe in June. But
forget the ducks, get ahead of his ass.
I just wish the plan was put out there, right? And
exactly.
Maybe if there was more communication with like the press or something, and they went out there and said, "Hey, this is our plan, guys. We're worried about the world tournament. The Bellator champions are not going to be involved in this. Neither is Dakota. We've got them saved for pay-per-views down the line with Francis. That's what we're going to do. But right now, this is what we're announcing, and that's the world tournament." Then we'd all just sit back and be like, "All right, cool, sounds good. You actually have a plan." But at this point, it looks like you don't really know. It looks a little jumbled up, like you don't know what the plan is, right? But regardless of that, there's a lot of talent in this tournament.
Oh, 100%. Great tournament.
From 205 in matchups to be made. Now, one of the Devin said he doesn't want to see Silveira match.
I don't either,
but I think a great matchup for Josh that I want to see in the first round is Murad Ramazanov. Ramazanov, the combat sambo wrestler, he's going to try and get Josh to the ground. When he does get Josh to the ground, is Josh going to be able to get a submission off his back, catch him with a guillotine coming in? I think that'd be a really fun grappling matchup for fight fans. And throughout the card, I think there's potential for great matchups. One matchup that we're going to talk about here that could potentially happen is Dalton Rosta and Aaron Jeffrey. Now, there is bad blood there because Rosta lost his first professional, had his first professional defeat to Aaron Jeffrey in Sioux Falls, South Dakota a year ago. And, that was a very competitive contest, 2-1 on the scorecards. But he did, go to 9-1 with that contest. He did get a win over Norbert Novigneni last time out. But let's listen to Dalton Rosta on what he had to say about a potential rematch with Aaron Jeffrey. Within this tournament is Aaron Jeffrey. How excited are you to possibly get that win back?
Bro, I was hoping I got him first round. But I didn't. But there's a possibility still I'll be able to get him some point in this tournament. And I just can't wait. I'm not one to make excuses. I made sure that I didn't put any excuses out after that fight. I haven't made any excuses since. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to make any excuses for the last fight. But just know if we fight again, it's going to go completely different. And everybody will know that shit was a fluke. Instead of me having to make excuses for myself, they'll know at the end of the day. The second fight, if we get to fight again, it's going to be such an ass whooping that there's not going to be any question at all about the first one.
All right. So that's what Dalton Rosta had to say. Didn't hold back on the words for a potential rematch with Aaron Jeffrey there. It would be fireworks if those guys match up. I also want to see Fabian Edwards and Sada Boucy. So a lot to come from the PFL in the middleweight tournament. Make sure to keep an eye on their Instagram page for the matchups here later in the week, which they will announce as well. But, Eddie, I'll tell you what, we got a fight night card to discuss coming up this weekend. It's none that's going to knock the socks off of the casual fans, but certainly a lot of fights here lower down on the card that, hardcore fight fans like us are going to be tuning in for with some interest. But in the main event, we have Manel Kape versus Asu Amabayev. Manel Kape comes into this one at 20-7, while Amabayev will be 21-2. We've seen Cap struggle in the past with grapplers like Muhammad Makayev, Alexandre Pantoja, Mateus Nicolau. Is the grappling of Alabayev going to cause Manel Kape too much of a problem this weekend?
Manel Kape's going to cause Manel Kape a problem this weekend. You kidding me? Manel Kape always fucking he always falls short on fights he should dominate. He's had a full camp for this fight. Azuz's coming in on short notice. It shouldn't, not saying it's going to be an easy fight because Azuz's a bad motherfucker, but like it shouldn't be very difficult. It shouldn't be like a barn burner. Manel Kape should be able to finish this. He won't. And there's a really good chance he loses this fight, honestly. If Azuz's been training, by the way, and he's always busy. But if could he come in and take Manel Kape down and drag him around? Sure. What's the excuse going to be for Manel Kape? Manel Kape makes himself one of the most unlikable flyweights on the roster, if not the most unlikable flyweight. And so, I'm not surprised that I'm not going to be surprised when people are just like, yeah, okay, fuck him. That being said, who fell out again? He fell. Who's supposed to fight? Brandon Royval.
Yeah.
That would have been a way better fight for him because if he beats Brandon Royval, that's a name. Say whatever you want.
He goes nowhere with victory here.
Nothing, nowhere. He stays even, straight up. And if he loses, he tanks. So we'll see what happens. Should Manel Kape win? Absolutely. He should absolutely take this fight, this win here. But he just comes into fights overconfident sometimes and then just loses. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I hate to tell you, no one cares about this fight.
Yeah, I it certainly took some steam off. If this was Brandon Royval, we'd all care about it and have title implications on the line. But like you said, Manel Kape is a polarizing character. He goes out there and says things that maybe you shouldn't say on live television, but he is entertaining nonetheless. We saw him his last time out kind of do like a basketball moves when he was styling on his opponent. He does entertain the crowd. He's a very entertaining fighter. So the fight in and of itself, I do not think is going to be a bad fight. I think it's going to be grappler versus striker. There's a high possibility for someone to get a finish, whether that's Amabayev by submission or maybe grinding it out to points, or Manel Kape catching him coming in with a knee or something like that up the middle. I think there is a possibility for a finish, but I'm going to go Manel Kape in this one by decision. Like you said, I don't think a lot of people are, clamoring to tune in for this fight necessarily, but it could be a good scrap between these two flyweights. It could
be. Now, if I'm Manel Kape, I call Bryce Mitchell and start a podcast. Like, fuck it, let's just burn the whole world down. It's bullshit. I don't know, dude. It's such a fucking who cares type of fight. Yeah. Honestly, it's really hard for me to even get up for this one, and it's not their fault.
Well,
it's not their fault.
If you can't get up for this one, I hate to tell you, you ain't getting up for the next one. So,
fuck no, I'm not. I already know this. And by the way, we care about all these. We're hardcores. We're degenerates. We'll watch every fight, no matter who it is. Yeah. That being said, God damn it, guys.
Now, there's potential for this to be a good fight in the main event, but I got to tell you, Eddie, I think this is the worst co-main event I may have ever seen in the history of me being a UFC fight fan. It's literally since I was 11 years old. I don't know if there's been a UFC co-main event where there's two guys with less than a 2-to-1 win-loss ratio. Less than a 2-to-1 win-loss ratio. Look at this. 10-6 for Cody Brundage coming in here. 9-5 for Julian Marquez. Credit to all these guys. They're great competitors. Cody Brundage has knockout slammed Zachary Reese, who I think highly of. He's a good fighter. Julian Marquez has knocked guys out on his way up. I believe he knocked out Phil Hawes. He's a good fighter as well. But these guys are not in a great place in their career. This is a main card. This is a prelim opener. You've got guys like William Gomez fighting against Hyder Emil down here, undefeated, versus a guy who's on a 12-fight winning streak and hasn't lost since 2016. And they're down on the prelims. Well, we got these guys up here with nothing on the line. The loser's probably going to get cut from the UFC, fighting in the co-main event. I cannot understand the placement on this card. There are great fights on the prelims that could have been replacing this, moving up. What do you think about the placement here, Eddie? And why in the world are we watching two guys with less than a 2-to-1 win-loss ratio instead of guys like William Gomez and Hyder Emil in the co-main event?
So this main card, I believe, starts at 5 p.m. That's Arizona, so it's 4 p.m. Pacific, right? I think they're trying to give everyone a good bathroom break before the main event when it was Brandon Royval.
Yeah.
Because that one's going to go 5 rounds for sure, and you definitely want to get up off your seat for that one. That's what it was about. That being said, and I like what Devin T just said. We'll touch that here in a quick second, but that being said, you're right. This is a real bad one. This is a real thing. Thank goodness this is at the Apex. Now, mind you, for all you motherfuckers that are like, get out of the Apex, this is why we have the Apex. Because if you take this to a city,
If I paid money to watch this fight and it was in the co-main,
if you paid money to ticket money to go watch this fucking card and this is a co-main event, you played yourself.
Yeah,
you played yourself hard, right? That's what the Apex is for, folks. Relax. Let the shit cards be at the Apex. Don't go pay your hard-earned money for shit cards, okay? Because believe me, pretty soon here, you're gonna start you're gonna start shoving these cards down your throats in your hometown, in your home cities, and you're gonna be paying for them. But is what it is. Outside of that, dude, again, another fight no one cares about. And sorry, just I know we have like a plan on this, but why isn't Charles Johnson getting the main event fight against Cobb? Why the fuck not?
You on a win streak?
Dog, dude is fun as hell. Like, he's a bad motherfucker. Let's go. You had a built-in one there. I don't know why that didn't happen, but either way.
We did an interview with Charles Johnson as well, I think done by another one of our colleagues.
Danny Breland, yes, sir. Danny Breland got you on that
as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
But Charles Johnson, one, sells a fight. He's a good talker. Two, has a great credential grappling and wrestling background and is a game and dog competitor. I don't understand, like, there's a great point by Devin. You bring in Amazayev, maybe. Why doesn't Amabayev fight Terimov here? You got two European killers go against one another, and then you got the American versus the creative striker in Manel Kopp. I think that's the way to do it. I've really been confused by a lot of the matchmaking. We touched on the Jose Aldo and Zahabi. You see the co-main event this weekend. I don't know what Mick Maynard and Sean Selby have been doing, but as far as I'm concerned, the less control that Dana White has over this company, the worse it gets. He literally needs to be in control of every decision, because a lot of this stuff is just, I think, flying under his radar because he's doing more important things. But these cards are not filling out the way that they used to.
I think all I could think of is that they're trying to let things play out to build things for later. Sometimes you have these, down. It's like an NBA team rebuilding. It's going to be 2-3 years.
34 himself. Zahabi's like 3 years younger than Aldo. I don't understand it.
Sure.
But wait, the only thing is if that fight in Montreal, because Zahabi
Montreal.
That makes sense. He's from Canada. You have the Canada guy fight Aldo, but come on.
And you take Aldo it's been what they think 2015. I'm probably wrong. Either 2015 or 2016 was the last time they went to Montreal. On the return, you bring Jose Aldo to fight one of your homeboys or one of your home guys. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just for the sake of us putting a pick out there for you guys, if you want to take our picks, I'm going to take Cody Brundage by decision. I think that he's going to get Julian Marquez to the ground and do some good ground and pound and ride out a decision victory there. Do you have a quick prediction before we move it along, Eddie?
Yeah. Here's my prediction: a bathroom break and a beer run. If we can get double losses on that one, I would take that shit. Okay.
Double knockout?
I don't give a fuck. It was a double knockout, double submission. Just the ref going, you know what, guys? I know we're halfway through the first round, but fuck this. We're done. Just cut it.
Moving on down the card to two legitimate contenders here in the lightweight division. We've got Nasrat Hasparak fighting Esteban Ribovics. We saw Ribovics head kick Terrence McKinney last year to hell in one of the knockouts of the year. Nasrat Hasparak, a tough Middle Eastern prospect who's always game for a fight. We've seen him in there against Dan Hooker and great competitors in the past. What do you make about this matchup, Eddie? I think that Nasrat Hasparak is tough. He always puts on forward pressure, but Esteban Ribovics might not be the guy to go and meet fire with fire. So I've got Ribovics in this one by knockout. I think somebody's going to sleep here. Both of these guys have finishing potential. I think Nasrat Hasparak's going to try and put the pressure on him early. And I think Esteban Ribovics, it's really his time to shine right now. And I think that he's moving up the rankings and a bright prospect for the future. How do you see this one?
Only fight worth a damn on this card. Only fight worth a damn on this card. Fuck the rest of them. I mean, not in a disrespectful way. Folks.
I like the William Gomez fight with Hyder Emil. To me, I love that fight.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be on the Apex. That one should be in France or some shit. But it should be in a crowd because that one's gonna be fun. But I'm talking about as far as like this card goes, this is the only fight I really care about. Esteban Ribovics is a motherfucker, dude. That fight he had with Zellhuber in the Sphere, bro. Dude, oh my god, that was a nasty fucking fight. Yep. And Zellhuber made it too because he was a tough motherfucker. He was not quitting. But man, Esteban put it on him. It was so much fun.
How about that, Eddie? That was the fight of the night at UFC Noche, and you get rewarded by getting thrown on the prelims of an Apex card.
It is what it is, man. That's the game. But no, I'll tell you right now, Esteban's gonna come out. He's gonna knock Nasrat the fuck out, and he's got to get mad on the mic. And be like, look, enough of the disrespect. Enough. Give me a main card spot on a pay-per-view and watch me knock a motherfucker out again. Let's go.
Yep. He's certainly a bright prospect, and there's a lot of prospects coming up at 155 pounds. Paddy Pimblett's going to get Michael Chandler here in the future. I think Esteban Ribovic's moving up as a legitimate contender and somebody that is very dangerous on the feet. This is going to be fight of the night, in my opinion, on this on this card. I think it's going to be fire with fire, and fight fans are really going to want to tune in and catch this one.
Oh, 100%. No, this is going to be a hell of a fight for sure. This honestly, again, we're going to cover every fight. I'm going to be on my fight companion the entire night, 100%. But this is the only fight I'm gonna be like, holy shit, let's go! Like,
yeah,
that's it.
Getting us amped. What is the odds on this one as we scroll down?
Let's find out.
Okay, so you got Ribovic.
Pretty good favorite. Yeah.
I'm gonna take Ribovic in this one by knockout. As I say that though, I don't know if I should go by knockout because Nasrat is so dog tough.
Oh, sure.
This could be just a 3-round war. If you're going to bet it out there, I bet KO or points, double chance at FanDuel. I like Esteban Ribovic in this one though to pick up a win.
Or maybe like over a round and a half. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be a good bet as well.
Yeah.
Who do you got? You got Ribovic by knockout?
Knock the fuck out. Yeah. No matter what round, just knock him the fuck out.
So moving along this card, fight fans. We do have the debut of a very talented heavyweight prospect. He's going to be facing Austin Lane, who we've seen in the past. Austin Lane comes into this one at 13-5. But Mario Pinto from Portugal is a massive fighter who is not 8 foot. He has 8 wins, 0 losses. He is 6'8", I believe, isn't he?
Tall as shit.
Yeah, 6'8" for Mario Pinto. Athletic guy, undefeated here. What do you think about him fighting Austin Lane in his debut? Austin Lane has a suspect chin. Hate to say it. We've seen him not necessarily like to take punishment in the past. If he gets hit by Pinto, do you see him going down early?
Fucking Devin. Mario the Bean Pinto. Fucking guy. I think Austin Lane's going to have to wrestle him. He ain't trying to stay out range of this dude and get picked apart or get head kicked. Austin Lane's going to make this as boring as he fucking can. Grind him out, put him on the fence, try to take him down, and that's that. Because if he doesn't, Mario Pinto has the ability to put him out, especially at heavyweight. Now, I used to be a big fan of heavyweight fights, and when like Kane was was fighting, and Brock, Frank Mir,
Mark Hunt, Roy Nelson were the guys at the bottom. They were entertaining.
Dude, every single fight, every guys at the bottom of the fucking barrel were knocking dudes out anyway.
Yeah.
Now we got these dudes is just like somehow they make it 5 rounds and they're dead. They're dead by halfway through the second. They're just hugging the whole time. They're not trying to knock each other out. It's annoying as hell. It's an annoying problem to have. Matt
Mitrione and Ben Rothwell were guys that were like fringe top 15, top 10 guys back in the day. Dude, they'd run through so many guys at heavyweight in this era. Like
Bigfoot versus Mark Hunt. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Austin Lane had to fight Mark Hunt
or Bigfoot?
No. But just give me Mark Hunt.
Yeah,
Mark Hunt, who giggled at guys that hit him, and then he would throw an overhand right and put you into like literally send you eight levels into hell just with one shot. Okay, or you thought you saw God after he knocked you the fuck out.
He'd be a perfect Roy Nelson victim too.
Oh, Jesus. Roy Nelson? Hey, Roy Nelson had a jiu-jitsu game, and everyone thought he was going to take him down every fight. Everyone was like, yeah, Roy's going to take him down and submit him. Roy's going to take him down and submit him. And Roy never did that, ever. Roy was like, take you down? Bitch! Bow! Eat a ham in the face.
He was throwing windmills at dudes, man. He was hitting Brendan Schaub. And
you know what? We gotta have a rewind episode or a rewind show.
We do.
Where we look back at the guys who whooped the shit out of everybody today.
I wouldn't mind having some of those guys on the show and being like, Roy, let's watch your fight with this guy. Talk us through that.
If the UFC wasn't going to copyright strike the shit out of us for that, I would. But it'd be cool to talk to those guys too, for sure, 100%. But it's like the discussion everyone has these days. If Allen Iverson was in the NBA today, he'd be dropping, who knows how much. Yeah, he would. If you can't foul Allen Iverson, he's dropping 60 a game. Kobe, 60 a game. Always with these soft ass rules. It's the same thing in fighting these days. Not because the rules changed. It's just these dudes are different, right? Like,
could you imagine them fighting these guys fighting Uberim?
Oh God! Let Uberim juice and let him come back. Just teach these motherfuckers a lesson, please. Have you seen that guy? He's skinnier than shit.
Yeah, he's in great shape, man. He's a fitness fanatic.
Yeah, now he's like but back in the days, his muscle, like his neck muscles had neck muscles. It was fucking wild.
Oh, he was so big. He was like, he was walking, deadlifting like 500 pounds.
Hey, when he just landed body kick after body kick on Brock Lesnar, you're just sitting there going like, I felt every single one. I'm like, oh shit, this Brock tap, please, just tap, bro. I don't even fucking go. And that was after he had after Brock got out of the hospital. He had like a bunch of his intestine taken out because he had
diverticulitis.
Thank you. That I can't even say that shit, but yeah, that. So nah, dude, we need to have like a rewind episode and just look back at the guys that would fuck everybody up today.
Yeah, for real. Especially at heavyweight. Like, I don't really say that for classes, but heavyweight, when you brought all the guys from Strikeforce, all the guys from Pride, and you had one melting pot for the best talent in the world in the early 2010s, it was something to see, certainly.
And we're not talking about the GFL heavyweights, folks. Okay, we're not. I don't want to see.
Well, we are talking about the GFL heavyweights, but just
back in the fucking day. Yeah, I'm not talking about now. You know what I don't want to see? Verdun versus Mir. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that would have been great in 2008.
Oh, there was a WC bet rewind. I bet you get away with it. Oh, maybe I'd look into that. Talking about playing the fight on there, maybe.
Watch like Mike Brown, some of his fights.
Mike Brown. Everyone thinks he's just a coach. That dude was a dog back in the day.
Smoking cigarettes in the locker room.
Yeah. Bad. Fucking Tank Abbott drinking beer and smoking cigarettes before the fight and then after.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. Man, look, young guys and girls started watching this shit when Conor McGregor started with his you do fucking nothing. You're a fucking antelope and I'm a fucking tiger, whatever he called himself. That bullshit. Before that garbage, and I'm not saying Conor's a garbage, he's a great fighter. He was a great fighter. But before that just talking to the mic and that's how you do this shit, you had fucking monsters go in there and do shit. It was so much fun to watch. Like, please YouTube the fuck out of that. Please, YouTube. Old Pride fights, Takanori Gomi, Nick Diaz. Hell, even like Nate Diaz and the Gray fights, Gray Maynard fight. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I love going back and watching some of those old fights on UFC Fight Pass. Like, I watched the other night, I watched Ken Shamrock versus Don Fry.
Ah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Don Fry and who's that? The Japanese fellow he fought.
Yasuhiro.
Thank you.
Yamamoto or Takayama.
Handful of hair and the fights. Bah, 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 bah. I'm like, ooh,
like a hockey fight.
What the fuck? Like, yeah. Like, I was a kid. I was like jumping up and down, going, "Holy shit!" Like freaking out. It was so much fun.
Yeah, those are great. You got
but these days, it's like corporate MMA, man. It's just,
it really is, and I think it's what it went from being that restaurant that everybody loves, and you go, "Hey, man, you know this barbecue joint down here, you got to go try that sometime. That's pretty good, man." It's word of mouth. It went from being this word of mouth thing that's pretty cool to like fast food, and it watered down the whole product. It's like I'd imagine McDonald's before they went, franchised all over the place and stuff. I feel like it's something like that, and we're just getting a watered down product compared to what we used to get in terms of talent. But there are certainly great athletes as well. So we do have 2 more fights left on this fight night that we're going to give you guys predictions for. One of which is, in my opinion, the best or second best fight on this card. Undefeated Hyder Emil, 10-0, welcomes William Gomez, 14-2. William Gomez has not lost since 2016, and that loss was to Morgan Charrier, who is in the UFC currently in William Gomez's 3rd professional fight. He's on a 12-fight winning streak, hasn't lost since 2016, but he's fighting Hyder Emil this weekend, who's undefeated and has absolute dynamite in his hands. How do you see this one, Eddie? Is the length of William Gomez going to be enough to ride him to a decision victory?
He knows how to use it. That's the key, right? Yeah. We're not talking about Stephen Struve, who's 18 feet tall and can't use the length. What the fuck? Okay, we're talking about a guy that knows how to use his movement and his length very well. If he's able to keep Hyder Emil from getting close enough to land a haymaker, he should cruise. Here's the fucking problem: is Hyder Emil is a motherfucker. Okay, He does not give a shit about your length. He's gonna put himself in danger. He's like, yeah, you can smack me. Do we think William Gomez has knockout power? No. Okay, I don't think he does. Not against Hyder, especially. Okay, so if I'm Hyder Emil, I'm like, okay, cool. You're gonna have to lay it out. You're gonna have to show me. You're gonna have to show me because I'm gonna go past your arms and I'm gonna throw everything I got.
In my opinion, William Gomez has to be perfect for 15 minutes in this fight. Hyder Emil has to be perfect for 1 punch. That's the kind of dynamite that he has. Now, Hyder Emil, like you mentioned, he is a guy that will take 2 to give 1. Mm-hmm. So he's a very tough competitor. We've seen that in the past. He comes in undersized in all these contests, right? So this isn't something that, he doesn't deal with every single time he comes in there. It's just that William Gomez, like you mentioned, is so talented, so good at what he does, using those leg kicks, using that long jab down there at 145 pounds at 6 foot tall. He's a freak of nature in terms of his length. I don't know, man. I'm going to go with William Gomez in this one by decision. I think that Hyder Emil takes the first loss of his career. But if he goes in here and knocks out William Gomez, we've got a legit contender on our hands. I just don't know what Hyder Emil's ceiling is with his height at this weight class.
Just in hopes that we have something worth watching, folks. Hyder Emil by fucking massacre, knockout, first round, something crazy. I'm putting it out there, y'all. I'm gonna put it out there. All right, I'm speaking it. What did Connie say? Speaking into existence. I'm speaking into existence. Hyder Emil by savage overhand right puts William Gomez out and makes us sitting through this shit for how many ever hours it is worth it.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last episode, the Ricky Simone knockout, right?
Ooh, no, we didn't. But damn,
we didn't
in Seattle. They just happened.
Oh yeah. Well, we didn't mention it, but that Ricky Simone knockout was absolutely insane. I mean, if something like that happens, it'd be incredible. But that was a great performance from Ricky. What'd you think of that? Briefly,
that was fucking sick, dude. That whole card was great. We had no decisions in the prelims. Decisions didn't come to the main card, dude. That was great. But Ricky Simone finally putting together like a just a nasty savage knockout, bro. Yeah. I was so happy to see it.
And Basharat's a talented dude. Everybody was high on Basharat. I think everybody on our Cageside press team picked him.
Yeah. No, and Basharat's the kind of guy. He's very finesse when he faces guys like Ricky Simone, who are like, I mean, it's like Jeffrey Basharat's like it's like if you fight Jeffrey Basharat, you're picking a fight with like a maitre d', right, or a host at a really, really fancy restaurant. Just smooth to the side, right, helping the ladies get to their seats, just nice little soft, and just in the middle of the back, not handing the lower back, not handing the upper back by their neck, just in the middle, so just slowly push them away. Meanwhile, Hyder Emil is that motherfucker just got off a 15-hour construction job shift, pissed as shit. His lunch was warm, wasn't even cold. Like he didn't have to heat it up. It was nasty. All right. He got a nasty fucking peanut butter sandwich. It wasn't even like the good creamy fucking peanut butter. It was a shitty crunchy one that no one likes.
Oh, he's pissing vinegar with that.
He's pissed as fuck. And he runs into the maitre d' and goes, you know what, bitch? Fuck you. Bow. That's what that is. Is that what that fight? I'm sorry, Ricky Simone was that guy. But like that's what that was.
To your point, Javad Basharat is a very technical fighter, ran into a buzzsaw in Ricky Simone. William Gomez is a very technical fighter. Will he run into a buzzsaw this weekend with Hyder Emil? We're going to have to wait and see. In my opinion, this should have been the co-main event, but certainly a good contest on the prelims that fight fans are going to want to tune in for. The last contest we're going to be talking about is undefeated prospect Danny Barlow, 9-0 versus Sam Patterson, 12-2. Sam Patterson comes over from England. Danny Barlow is a very athletic fighter at 6'2" at the 170-pound weight class. Sam Patterson is one of the tallest fighters at 170 pounds. But in this one, to me, I think that Sam Patterson is susceptible to be chinned. Danny Barlow is a good southpaw fighter. He's very athletic. I think that he lands a big left hand and gets a knockout win in this one, and I think he does it pretty early.
Look, man, when I saw your Nala Schmooze knockout or TKO Sam Patterson, I was like, okay, so he can be caught. And I think he's going to get caught. So Danny Barlow, finish him, bro. Finish him. Send him home. Send him back in the shitty 9-hour flight back to fucking England.
Real quick, we didn't look at the odds on the Emil Gomez fight. Is that? I think that's going to be pretty close. It is pretty close. Hyder Emil is an underdog, folks, out there. If you are interested,
boy.
Yeah.
Look at that one. Come Saturday.
That is some crazy odds there. What are the odds in this Barlow versus Patterson fight? I'm assuming Barlow is about a 3-1 favorite.
298.
That's a
240. It's close to that.
Yes, there, Brett. But 2 points off. But I got Danny Barlow in this one by knockout. I think Eddie's got the same thing. I'm going to go in round one. I think he's a very athletic and good fighter. We'll see what he does against a grappler when he moves up in the weight class. There's a lot of guys that would probably be matchup nightmares for him, like Renat Fakhretdinov, that are not even in the rankings yet. I mean, there's killers at 170 pounds. But should we talk a little bit about Charles Johnson before we leave? Or is there any other contests you want to touch on?
No, I just say this. Gabriel Gonzalez is a big Andrew Lee, KGB Lee fan, so I'm sure he'd be rooting for her in that one. And also, it's a winnable fight for her for sure. So we'll see what happens. And then,
is Gabriel covering this card for us?
No, he will be there, but he won't be covering. Leave it at that. We'll talk about it after. But and then I'm a fan of Montana de Rosa. I think she's underrated. It's just she seems to be kind of girl that isn't really taking this so serious to be trying for a title, but I think she's fun, and you know, it's weird. You know, when I first saw the Montana, I was like, that's like a girl you take home to mom. Like, she seems like kind of chick. I don't know why that made me a fan of her.
She's got the girl next door vibe for sure.
There you go, yeah. And then she could beat the fuck out of you. So there you go. But Luana Carolina is fucking savage. So she's got to find her.
Yeah, after she got face planted by Molly McCann, she's bounced back well with consecutive wins and had an impressive knockout victory of her own, I think, over one of the last couple fights. But fight fans, you can tune in for coverage of this weekend's fight night card on Cageside Press. We're also going to have an interview up with Sadabu C, who is a 2025 PFL middleweight tournament competitor as well. That will be up tomorrow morning. You can catch that on the YouTube page for Cageside Press as well. Thanks for joining us. We're going to bring you guys any news that breaks over the weekend. Look at these fights between Manel Kopp and Ababayev on this card, and then preview anything coming up in the fight world next week. Thanks for joining us.